Hey guys, it's Emma here and welcome back to my channel. Hope you've all been doing well. So in this video, I'll be doing something a little bit different. I will be answering your photography questions. I did something recently on my photography Instagram story where you can ask a question. So people submitted their photography questions and I'm here to answer them in this video in a sort of ask a photographer Q&A type thing. It's a little dull today. The weather is just horrible outside and I don't have my LED lighting around me at the moment, so you're gonna have to deal with a dull image. I hope that's okay. So without further ado, let's get into it. What is your favourite thing to shoot and why? I am a people person, which is hilarious because sometimes I'm just not social at all. But I love photographing people more than anything. I love portraiture and fashion and editorial, but in a way that's more kind of artsy, if that makes sense. I love my fine art. I love incorporating it into the stuff I'm doing, even if it's commercial work, which I know you can't always do when you're hired to do a job. So, you know, I do it the way they want. But in my own time and my own work, I love portraiture. I love, you know, the Vanity Fair style, painterly look. I love working with dancers. And I also, as you know, do self-portraiture because it means that I can fully be creative and do exactly what I've envisioned in my head. I really want to get into doing more tableau style work, you know, the big cinematic scenes with lots going on. I take a lot of inspiration from classic sculpture and art in my own stuff. It's just really, it's the time and the budget to set all of that up. Studio lighting is something I really struggle with. Wondering what lights you recommend? If you're just getting into studio lighting, it can be a bit daunting, having probably worked with natural light for so long. There are quite a few different options actually. It depends. If you want to go with continuous lighting, so no flash, just continuous lighting, I would definitely recommend, you know, something like an LED, or you don't use the modeling lamp on your lights because then you'll kind of get this yellowish sort of tinge that you have to correct in post and it's a nightmare, so I wouldn't do that. If you're gonna go with continuous, LED panels, so Nangwang are really good. I can never say that though, so if I butchered that, I'm very sorry. They do very affordable LED panels which also work great for video. Interfit are a great brand. They actually do a continuous light called the F5 or the flash, which is the F121 I believe, and they are both very affordable. You can get them in kits, so you can get 2 or 3 lights and they're only about, I think, £160 to £200. I will put the links in the description, but they are really affordable lights. They're really, really good. So you have the option to do continuous with one or flash with the other. If you are looking specifically at flash photography, as I've just mentioned, the Interfit, you can also look into, I think Bowens are still going now. They've been revived. You can look at Elinchrom. It depends what your budget is. If you have a lot to flex with, then I'd go something like Bowens or Profoto. Also speed lights, or you know, the flashes that you put onto a camera's hot shoe. Don't overlook those. They can emit quite a really good amount of light, and you can actually get little softbox fittings for them as well. So if at the moment you're thinking, oh, I don't really want to commit to getting a full set of studio lights, maybe I should just try with a speed light first, I definitely recommend you do that, because that means you can take it on location as well. You can fire it remotely from your camera, or you can have it on the camera, you can have several at the same time. The possibilities are endless because at the end of the day, a big part of photography is just about shaping light. If you want to do continuous and flash, but you want to be a bit more versatile with it, then Rotolight do excellent lights for that. However, they are a bit more expensive, so I hope that answers your question and it helps you sort of figure out where to go. Once again, I will leave all the links in the description down below. Which photographers influenced you? How did they influence your style and thinking? I'm a big Gregory Crewdson fan. I love the movie production style level of just everything that goes into creating one image. You know, the big cinematic tableau style. I love those. Cindy Sherman, just what one woman can do with costumes and makeup and, you know, self-portraiture. She's absolutely fantastic. Vivian Maya is another one. If you've seen any of my self-portraits with my medium format film camera. You can probably see a few references to her here and there. Annie Leibovitz as well. You know, she was the first photographer that I, as a teenager, started to pay attention to, and I realised that there can be a solid career to have in photography, and that women can do that kind of thing and be successful, because up until then, you know, it was a very male dominated industry from what I saw. I really love the stuff that she does. Her conceptual portraits are genius. Owen Olaf, his stuff is fantastic. It's gorgeous, honestly. Some of his work, it looks like a painting. Laura Zelenga, I really hope I'm saying that right. She's a German photographer and self-portrait artist. I actually met her a couple of years ago at the Birmingham Photography Show. Juno Calypso, another amazing self-portrait artist and another person that I have met. I actually watched her speak in London and then came up to her and was really shy and I didn't know what to say, so I offered her some Cadbury's chocolate buttons. I became a huge fan of Benjamin Von Wong, who is awesome. He's a Canadian photographer who just takes environmental activism to a whole new level. He's got a YouTube channel as well, so check that out. So yeah, those are a few of my favourite things. When was the first time you felt like a truly accomplished professional photographer? Probably when other people wanted to collaborate with me and they started to recognise my name and be like, oh yeah, you're Emma Hogan, okay, well let's do something. Because suddenly a few people, even if it was a handful of people, knew my name and they knew my work, and even though my work has evolved a lot over the years, it still meant something at the time because I wasn't doing quite what I wanted to do just then, but it meant a lot that people wanted to work with me and wanted to help make that happen for me. It just means the world of difference when somebody, you know, knows you and they know you by your work and your style, and they're able to look at an image and be like, oh, I know who took that. And yeah, that was pretty awesome. Also, when I started exhibiting my work, I haven't done it much. It was mainly through university, but it was nice to kind of hide, this sounds really creepy, but hide around a corner and just look at people reacting to my work. Like, that gave me a feeling that I want to continue feeling. What are your thoughts on the film revival, and what's your go-to film of choice? I love working with film. There's just something so like cathartic and therapeutic and satisfying about taking an image, developing it yourself. I think the film revival is fantastic. It never really went away, even when digital first came about. You know, you've still got your purists and your hipsters, but now I'm seeing it a lot more with the constant ongoing success and rise of Instagram. And it is very much the aesthetic of choice. You know, you've got these film imitation, film simulation apps that people are going nuts over, and it's wonderful because, like, digital's great. I'm not one of those people that will sit there and be like, film is so much better than digital, blah, blah, blah. I don't take sides. Digital is fantastic for many reasons, but then again, film is fantastic for so many reasons. And I'm really happy that well, from my perspective, they can coincide harmoniously. My film of choice, I'm a 120 girl. I'm a medium format girl. I don't know what, it's just always, there's something about it, you know, that beautiful square format and just the sharpness and the richness of it. It's really hard to explain, but I'm definitely more of a medium format kind of girl. Is there any difference in high-end flash companies? Right, so here's the thing. I obviously, being in the photo retail industry as well, I get asked this question a lot. I sell lots of different light brands, and if they all do the same thing but to varying degrees. So I personally shoot with Profoto because the B1, I can take it anywhere, it's battery operated. I love the kind of light it gives me. It's recycling time. Profoto's recycling time is crazy fast. With more high-end flashes, you tend to get a bit more versatility. You can fine-tune them a little better. The power output's usually a lot better as well as the recycling time. They're a lot more robust. They're usually easier to control. The wireless abilities are a lot better. A lot of the high-end ones now automatically come with TTL, which if you're doing a lot of high-speed sync kind of work, commercial work, or you're doing things in batch, I would highly recommend TTL. over manual. It's such a time saver. I would probably recommend, if you're thinking what sort of flash do I go for, do your research, watch a lot of videos, look into the specifications, compare them all, and really home in on what it is you're looking to do with that light. Now, none of this is to say that an inexpensive flash unit isn't a good option. It depends what you're using it for. For someone who isn't full-time in photography, shall I put off going full frame? It depends how long you've been doing it for, and also what you want to do with your photography and where you want to take it. There are many advantages to full frame. The obvious one being, you get a fuller frame. When you hear the crop factor, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you see comparative images, it is surprisingly noticeable. This change in crop can make a huge difference, especially if you are an architectural or landscape photographer. You don't have to cram yourself into a corner to get this huge frame, because when you're using crop frame, a large chunk of that is effectively missing. It will only capture part of it. So if you're doing a lot of architecture photography or landscape, I would definitely recommend looking at going full frame, or at least trying it first and seeing how it benefits your work before you commit to buying one. Another advantage of full frame is you get a greater flexibility when it comes to depth of field control. So if you are a portrait photographer, for example, you do a lot of standard portraits, street, location, whatever, that sort of thing, you can separate your subject from the background a little bit more. Full frame sensors have another huge advantage when it comes to noise control. So, when you're ramping up the ISO in a particularly dimly lit area and you start to get that horrible grain on your image, that is noise. And what a full frame sensor does, it kind of helps eliminate that by giving a lot more flexibility. So to further explain how full frame improves the flexibility between noise control and resolution, you have your crop frame sensor and your full frame. Each sensor is made up of a number of pixels. The area of the full frame sensor is larger, so each pixel can also be made larger. And cameras with larger pixels will generally produce better quality images at higher ISO rates than crop frame sensors. This is due to larger pixels being able to capture more light, thus resulting in a cleaner image. However, that doesn't necessarily mean you won't get any noise at all if you're shooting full frame. Also, to make this completely fair, here are the disadvantages to going full frame. 1, it's a little more expensive than crop frame. 2, its size and weight means it's bulkier and heavier, which if you're looking for a light travel handy camera, it might not be the one for you. Then again, some full frame cameras aren't that bad now, especially with mirrorless. You'll also find that with a full frame camera, its slightly slower frame rate in burst mode can affect what you're doing. This is because the full frame has a larger sensor, and it means there's more information to record. The quality and specifications of a lot of crop frame cameras on the market today are significantly much better than they were. However, if you feel as though you are ready to go full frame, and judging on the kind of work you do, it may benefit from it, then I would say go for it. So that is it for today's video. I think I've rambled on enough, and it is getting rather dark outside now, which means so am I. So I'm going to wrap this video up now. But thank you for watching as always, and thank you for submitting your questions. I actually enjoy this little Q&A thing. I think I might do it more often. If you've enjoyed, then hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that bell for notifications. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!